Imagine you finally rank number one on Google for your most important keyword. You spent months researching topics, optimizing content, improving structure, and building backlinks. Traffic starts to increase, and you feel confident that your search engine strategy is finally working. But then something unexpected happens. Your conversions do not increase the way you expected. And when you ask customers how they discovered your brand, many of them say they first saw you on YouTube, read about you on Reddit, heard about you on TikTok, or even received your name as a recommendation inside an AI tool. That realization changes everything. Search behavior is no longer limited to one search bar. People still use Google, but they also discover, compare, validate, and decide across multiple platforms. If your strategy only focuses on ranking pages in traditional search engines, you may be optimizing for just one part of a much larger decision journey. In this video, we are going to explore what modern search really looks like, why traditional SEO thinking is no longer complete, and how you can build visibility across platforms in a structured and manageable way. By the end, you will understand why ranking number one is not the finish line anymore. To understand why this shift matters, we first need to understand how people make decisions today. In the past, the process was simple. Someone had a question. They searched on Google, clicked a result, and either found their answer or continued searching. That linear journey made traditional SEO extremely powerful because visibility inside one search engine often meant visibility everywhere. Today, the journey is fragmented. A person might first see a product mentioned in a short TikTok video. Later, they search on Google to learn more. After that, they watch a YouTube review to see a deeper explanation. They may check Reddit to read real user opinions. Some even open ChatGPT or another AI tool to compare alternatives and summarize options before making a final decision. Each platform plays a different role in the decision process. One creates awareness, another builds trust, another validates expertise, another simplifies information. If you only optimize for Google rankings, you're participating in only one moment of a multi-step journey. Modern SEO is no longer just about ranking pages. It is about showing up at multiple stages of discovery and validation. When you understand this broader behavior pattern, you stop asking, "How do I rank?" and start asking, "Where does my audience actually make decisions?" That question changes strategy completely. Now let's talk about what I call the Google trap. Many businesses believe that if they rank on Google, their marketing problem is solved. And for a long time, that assumption made sense because Google dominated online discovery. But today, ranking is only part of the equation. Imagine someone searches for your product category and finds your website ranking on the first page. They click, browse briefly, and then leave. Later that evening, they open YouTube and watch product reviews. The next day, they check Reddit to read real user experiences. Eventually, they ask an AI tool to summarize the best options available. Even though you ranked, you were not present during the validation phase. Modern buyers do not trust a single source. They compare across platforms. They look for consistency. They want confirmation from multiple environments before making a decision. If your presence exists only on one platform, you may capture attention but lose trust during comparison. This is the Google trap. Believing that visibility in one search engine equals dominance across the entire decision journey. True modern optimization means appearing wherever your audience evaluates options, not just where they initially search. When you understand this, your strategy expands beyond rankings and moves towards structured visibility. One of the biggest mindset shifts in modern marketing is understanding that search is no longer a place. It is a behavior. In the past, search meant opening Google and typing a query. Today, search happens wherever curiosity exists. When someone opens TikTok and types best productivity apps, that is search. When someone scrolls YouTube looking for a detailed review before buying a camera, that is search. When someone asks ChatGPT to compare two business tools, that is also search. Even browsing Amazon to read product feedback is part of the same behavior. Search has expanded beyond traditional search engines and into platforms designed for entertainment, community, and conversation. This shift matters because each platform interprets visibility differently. On Google, ranking depends on structured content and authority signals. On YouTube, engagement and watch time influence visibility. On TikTok, content velocity and audience interaction play a stronger role. On Reddit, credibility is driven by community validation. If you treat all platforms the same way, your strategy becomes ineffective. Modern optimization is not about mastering one algorithm. It is about understanding how search behavior adapts to context. When you see search as behavior instead of a website, your approach becomes more flexible and more strategic. Now that we understand search as behavior, the next step is expanding how we define SEO itself. Traditional SEO focused on optimizing websites for Google rankings. That approach worked well when most discovery began and ended in one search engine. But today, that definition is too narrow. Modern optimization requires thinking beyond a single platform. Instead of asking, "How do I rank on Google?" a better question is, where does my audience discover, compare, and validate information? For example, if you sell software tools, potential customers might first discover your brand through short-form content. Then they may search on Google for detailed comparisons. Later, they watch YouTube reviews to understand real use cases. Some may check Reddit discussions to see authentic feedback. Others might even ask an AI tool to summarize alternatives. Each of these touchpoints influences trust. If you only optimize for the first search interaction, you miss the validation stages that ultimately drive decisions. This is why modern SEO is evolving into what we can call search everywhere optimization. The goal is not just ranking. The goal is structured presence across the platforms that shape perception. When your message appears consistently across environments, trust increases naturally. And trust is what converts visibility into action. Once you accept that search happens everywhere, the next step is understanding that each platform evaluates content differently. This is where many businesses make mistakes. They create one type of content and expect it to perform the same way across all platforms. On Google, structured content, backlinks, and authority signals influence rankings. On YouTube, engagement metrics like watch time, audience retention, and interaction play a much stronger role. On TikTok, velocity and early engagement determine how far content spreads. On Reddit, community approval and authenticity matter more than polished marketing language. Inside AI tools, structure clarity and topical authority influence how recommendations are generated. These are not identical systems. If you try to apply traditional blog SEO thinking to short-form platforms, results become inconsistent. And if you treat YouTube like a static website, you miss the engagement layer that drives visibility. Modern optimization requires contextual awareness. You do not need completely different strategies for every platform, but you must adapt your format, tone, and structure to match how that environment evaluates content. When you align with platform-specific signals, your visibility becomes more predictable, and predictability creates leverage. There is another major shift happening that many businesses overlook. Traffic alone is no longer the primary advantage. Trust is. In the past, generating large volumes of traffic often guaranteed growth because fewer competitors understood digital marketing. Today, information is everywhere, and audiences are more cautious. A user might visit your website, but before making a decision, they want confirmation. They look for consistent messaging across platforms. They check whether your brand appears in discussions. They look for reviews, comparisons, and expert explanations. They evaluate tone and credibility. This means visibility without trust produces weak results. You can rank well, but if your brand feels unfamiliar or inconsistent, When people explore further, conversions slow down. On the other hand, when someone sees your content on YouTube, reads supportive discussions on Reddit, finds structured information on your website, and even encounters your name in AI-generated recommendations, the sense of credibility multiplies. Modern optimization is about building a network of trust signals across environments. Traffic brings attention. Trust converts attention into action. When you shift your focus from chasing numbers to building consistent presence, your strategy becomes more resilient, and resilience is what sustains growth over time. To make this actionable, let's simplify the modern search journey into 3 stages: discovery, validation, and decision. Your job is not to dominate every platform. Your job is to show up in the right places for your audience, in the right format, at the right stage. Discovery is where people first hear about a topic or a problem. This often happens on short-form platforms, social feeds, or recommendations from others. Validation is where people compare options and look for proof. This often happens on YouTube, Reddit, Google reviews, and comparison content. Decision is where people take action, buy, book, or contact. This often happens on your website, your landing pages, your product pages, and trusted marketplaces. When your content supports all 3 stages, your marketing becomes smoother. People don't just find you once, they keep seeing you in different contexts, and that repetition builds confidence. So the question is not which platform is best. The question is, which platforms support my audience's decision journey? Once you answer that, you stop feeling overwhelmed, and your content strategy becomes structured instead of random. Now, this does not mean Google is no longer important. Google still plays a major role in structured information discovery, but its role has shifted. Instead of being the only gatekeeper of attention, it is now one of several validation checkpoints. When someone hears about your brand on social media, they often search your name on Google to verify legitimacy. They check your website. They look at reviews. They explore your authority. Google becomes the credibility filter rather than the starting point. This means traditional SEO is still necessary, but it is no longer sufficient by itself. Your website must communicate clarity. Your content must reflect authority. Your brand presence must align with what people have already seen elsewhere. If someone discovers you on YouTube and then finds a poorly structured website, trust decreases. If your website reinforces what they saw on other platforms, trust increases. So Google is not disappearing. It is becoming part of a larger ecosystem. Instead of asking, how do I rank higher? A better question might be, when someone searches my name, what impression do they get? That is modern SEO thinking. Another major shift that cannot be ignored is the rise of AI-driven search behavior. Increasingly, users are not just typing keywords into search engines. They are asking full questions inside AI tools and expecting summarized, structured answers. When someone asks an AI assistant to compare marketing tools, recommend software, or explain a strategy, the tool generates a response based on patterns, authority signals, and structured information it has learned from across the web. This changes the dynamic of visibility. In traditional SEO, the goal was to appear as a clickable link. In AI-assisted search, the goal is to become a referenced authority inside a synthesized answer. That means structured clarity, consistent messaging, and topical depth become even more important. If your brand appears consistently across platforms, publishes clear educational content, and builds authority signals, you increase the likelihood of being mentioned or reflected in AI-generated responses. AI does not replace SEO, it expands it. Instead of optimizing only for ranking positions, businesses now need to consider how their content contributes to the broader knowledge ecosystem. When AI becomes part of the discovery process, authority compounds in new ways, and those who adapt early gain long-term advantage. Now let's make this practical, especially for small businesses and content creators. You might be thinking that this sounds overwhelming. Multiple platforms, AI tools, validation layers, structured authority. It can feel like you need to be everywhere at once. But that is not the goal. The goal is strategic presence, not universal presence. If you are a local business, your audience may rely heavily on Google, reviews, and community discussions. If you are a creator or digital brand, YouTube and social platforms may drive initial discovery, while Google supports deeper research. If you sell products, marketplaces and review platforms become crucial validation checkpoints. Modern optimization starts by mapping your audience behavior. Where do they first hear about solutions? Where do they compare options? Where do they confirm trust before buying? Once you understand that pattern, you choose 2 or 3 core environments to strengthen. You create structured content that supports each stage. You ensure your messaging stays consistent. You do not chase every new platform. You build authority where it matters. When you simplify the ecosystem around your audience instead of reacting to trends, your strategy becomes manageable. And manageable strategies are the ones that scale. So what should you actually do next? Instead of trying to optimize for everything at once, start by auditing your current visibility. Search your brand name on Google. Look at YouTube. Check Reddit discussions. Ask an AI tool to summarize your category. Observe what appears. Do you show up consistently, or are there gaps? Next, define your primary platform based on your audience. If your audience consumes long-form explanations, YouTube may be your anchor. If they rely on written research, your website and structured blog content matter more. If they validate through community discussion, you may need to build credibility in those environments. Then create content that connects across platforms. A YouTube video can support a blog article. A blog article can be referenced in community discussions. Clear educational content increases the chance of being reflected in AI summaries. The goal is alignment, not duplication. When your messaging remains consistent and your authority compounds across environments, you create a stronger digital footprint. Modern SEO is no longer a single tactic. It is an integrated system, and systems outperform scattered effort. Now let's consider the opposite scenario. What happens if businesses continue focusing only on traditional SEO and ignore this shift in search behavior? At first, nothing dramatic changes. Traffic may remain stable. Rankings may fluctuate slightly, but the system appears familiar. However, over time, attention begins to fragment. Competitors who show up across platforms start gaining recognition. Their brand becomes familiar in multiple contexts. Their authority feels stronger, even if their website traffic looks similar. Gradually, trust consolidates around brands that appear consistently. If your visibility exists only inside a single channel, you become replaceable. When buyers validate options and your brand does not appear in discussions, reviews, video explanations, or AI summaries, doubt increases. Even if your product is strong, perception weakens. This shift does not happen overnight. It happens gradually, and gradual change is often the most dangerous because it feels invisible until results decline. Modern search behavior rewards integration. It rewards brands that understand how discovery flows across environments. Adapting does not mean abandoning traditional SEO. It means expanding your thinking beyond it. Those who adapt early build durable authority. Those who resist may remain visible, but less influential. And influence now determines growth. At the beginning of this video, we asked a simple question. What happens if you rank number 1 on Google, but your conversions do not increase the way you expected? Now you understand why. Modern search is no longer confined to a single platform. It is a connected journey. People discover ideas in one place, validate them in another, and confirm trust somewhere else. They move between search engines, video platforms, community discussions, marketplaces, and AI tools before making decisions. If your strategy focuses only on rankings, you participate in only one part of that journey. But when your presence extends across the environments where your audience discovers, compares, and validates information, something changes. Your brand becomes familiar. Familiarity builds trust. Trust reduces hesitation, and reduced hesitation increases action. This does not mean you abandon traditional SEO, it means you expand it. You optimize your website for clarity. You build educational content that demonstrates authority. You show up consistently in the environments that influence your audience. You align messaging so that every platform reinforces the same positioning. Modern SEO is not about chasing algorithms. It is about building structured influence. If you think beyond rankings and start thinking about presence, validation, and authority, your marketing becomes more durable. And durable systems outperform temporary wins. If this perspective changed how you see search, then apply it. Audit your visibility. Strengthen your anchor platform. Expand intentionally, because the new rules of SEO are not about doing more, they are about thinking bigger. If this changed how you see SEO, make sure to subscribe to Brand Locally for more practical strategies. I'll see you in the next video.